Up, because we're in a fight, my brother. We're in a fight.
Welcome to Political Beatdown. You see what we talk about off the air? That's what we talk about on the air as well. Great to see everybody. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We got a lot to discuss, so let's just get into it right away. You had Stephen Miller and then Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, former Fox Weekend host. And then you had Just Dance Vance, as California Governor Newsom calls J.D. Vance. They were there in Union Station as if they were in like Fallujah, right? And they had the military around them stationed there. And I kid you not, Stephen Miller was like, and here's what you got to do, like as though he was like General Patton or something. He goes, there are these 90-year-old hippie white women out there, and we're going to go for them. I mean, like quite literally. Watch Stephen Miller here. Let's play this first clip.
Officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old. And we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Stephen. A few questions.
Mr. Vice
Thank you, Stephen. General Patton here. We're going to go after the 90-year-old hippie lady. What are you talking about? And then over here.
It's really, honestly, I don't think we should just get off it, that quickly.
I'm going to, we're not going to get off. Here's the other clip of Miller. Then we'll stay on it. Here, play this other clip.
And the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots. They have no connections to the city. They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the Vice President are all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to
like a truly vile piece of trash, right? I mean,
how else do you describe him, Ben? In my whole life, I've never seen somebody be given the authority by Trump to go out and to make First of all, how does he know that everybody there was over the age of 90? How does he know that none of them have roots in D.C.? How does he know that none of them work in D.C.? They just happen to be there in the area because they heard that Stephen Syphilis Miller happens to be at Union Square Station with dipshit Hegseth and with Shady Vance. I mean, seriously? I don't even know how to describe the insanity that's taking place in D.C. anymore.
I mean, it's an abomination, and you're not saying he is resembling. He's a walking manifestation of an STD of akin to syphilis. Is what he walks around manifesting the same aura. We'll just
Dude, he looks like a fucking Trojan in that all brown suit with the brown tie. I mean, what's the matter? Somebody did the Garanimals for him where they color-coded his shirts, his jackets, his pants, and his ties.
Just an interesting fact that's of all of the things, why even mention it? So I'll just be self-aware, is that the suit jacket didn't even have like a pocket square, and it's just like, he is cosplaying like Goebbels, right? Like he is cosplaying that role. Like this would be the guy in student government. He ran for student government, and his platform, I've showed you these videos before of him when he went to, he grew up in Santa Monica, California, went to Santa Monica High School, and he was like that. He was like that guy, and frankly, this entire MAGA movement is made up of that guy. And for some reason, as a society, we just let that guy and that woman, and those people, who we never threw out, and I'm not just saying we, I mean, as a society, let them get power and normalize their weirdness, their dangerousness. And it's just why? These people are lunatics, and you got to call him out. I mean, he was the guy when he ran for student government was like, why do our janitors make us take out the trash? I want to see them pick up the trash What else am I paying you for? And I could just imagine, because I knew kids like that in high school who would go up and run for office, and you would like sit there and I'd watch them and I'd be like, the hell is wrong with this person? He's that person who somehow has this position, and this whole regime in Trump are like that. But, you know, it starts at the top. I mean, look at what Donald Trump was saying today. He went on this deranged right-wing podcast, the Todd Starnes show. And have you seen the clips, Cohen, of the Todd Starnes?
Actually, I have not.
Okay, so Donald Trump was asked, so when do you think, you know, we'll find out about peace in Ukraine? You haven't watched it. What do you think Trump's answer is, just knowing him?
Which piece are we giving away?
No, peace in Ukraine. When do you expect to have more now? How long is it going to take before you have more?
2 weeks.
Play the clip. Play the clip.
Do you think we're going to be able to get peace in that region, Mr. President?
Well, I'll let you know in about, I would say within 2 weeks, we're going to know one way or the other.
You know,
Yes. Nailed it.
I mean,
And
it's
I
like,
swear to each and every one of you on my children's eyes, I swear, all right? I did not see that clip. I did not hear that clip. Of course, it's always 2 weeks.
how many wars does Donald Trump believe that he's stopped already throughout the world? What would your guess be?
That I know.
Play the clip.
A lot of things going. We ended 7 wars, probably more than that. You know, they wrote an article and they gave me 3 additional ones that I ended without even knowing it. But, you know, I saw things were going bad, and it looked like it was going to go bad, and it could have been 10. But
okay,
7,
Ben,
but it may have been 10.
Okay, hold on.
It may have been 10.
I'll take Trump Fantasyland for 400, please, Ben.
Okay, now, will Donald Trump personally be patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C., potentially with Dr. Phil? True or false?
That'll be a true answer there, Ben.
Let's play the clip.
and I'm going to be going out tonight. I'm going to keep it a secret, but I'm going to go. You're the only one that knows. You and your lots of listeners. You have a great show. You have a very successful show, by the way, in case you haven't heard that. But I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police, and with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job. The National Guard is great. They've done a fantastic.
Now, will this right-wing host, ding, 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 you were correct. Will the right-wing host encourage Donald Trump to personally tase and shoot people? Yes or no?
Oh my gosh, yes. And he must immediately make sure, and this is like a Mark Burnett production, let's hide the undocumented immigrant, like the way you do, let's say, the Easter egg hunt in the backyard over there at the White House. Let's hide some undocumented migrants in like bushes and shit so that Trump could come out and do his fight thing, right? Tase them, handcuff them, and march them, into a paddy wagon. So I'm going to say yes.
Play the clip.
Does the president have a gun? Are they going to let him tase somebody? I want to see my president tase somebody tonight. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see this guy eat a carrot.
Okay, well, Michael Cohen, like the point is, this would be if you and I were talking about Hunger Games, if you and I were talking about the movie Idiocracy, if you and I were talking about like North Korea, what's going on.
There's another movie. Isn't it called The Purge?
The Purge. If you were talking about these things, it would be parody. It's how we would used to mock these countries, like Saddam Hussein's treatment of people. And remember how South Park dealt with Kim Jong-un's, father in that South Park movie. The movie The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen, where, the guy would say that he was winning all of the dictator would say he's winning all of the Olympic Games, but he would like make the competition get like handcuffed and he would like shoot them all while he was running, and he would roll through New York City in this like weird caravan of like a group of like weirdos behind him. But like the reality is that that's the United States of America right now, and it has deadly lethal effects right now. A United States factory in Ukraine was just struck by Russia.
Do you know what that factory was?
What was it, Michael Cohen?
I believe that they made jugs. I believe it was like a pottery factory. Yeah.
There it is right there. Russia bombed a factory. It's called Flex Ltd. with cruise missiles overnight in one of the largest aerial attacks. They make a lot of electronics also, and I'm going to give, just because you were right on the game show, I'm going to give you jugs. Well, it sounds horrible to say. You are right about jugs. I'm not even sure if you're, but it does electronics and jugs, we'll say. But imagine this. Imagine this. You're not going to hear a word from Donald Trump about that happening, that an American factory, the same way after all of these horrible natural disasters took place, he barely mentioned any natural disaster. He showed up one day for a few hours in Texas, but the real focus and priority in Texas was rigging the midterms. I mean, they literally locked their legislators in the assembly room. I did that interview with the state representative who was literally.
Hey, you get some great freaking guests, Ben. You know, I really got I really got to. If I was wearing a MAGA hat, I would take it off for you, right? I mean, no joke. You really do get some great guests, because that was something that also really struck me as, not that it's odd, that it's unconstitutional. It's illegal. Is it? I mean, how is that scenario not imprisonment? How is that not an unlawful detention? She can't leave the chamber because she didn't sign a permission slip? Seriously. I mean, what is this, a fucking junior high school class trip to the museum? What are we talking about? I mean, I absolutely, I was so lost. How is it that they are keeping her in there? And if she decides to walk out, what are they going to do? Tackle her?
That's what they said they were going to do. They said that they would place her under arrest if she left and if she didn't sign the permission slip.
On what grounds is what I'm trying to figure out.
On fascism, on fascism grounds, on the same grounds that you have the Trump regime sending people into the museums and throwing away artifacts and exhibits that don't praise dear leader Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump, we talked about this on other hot takes as well, that Donald Trump said that his big frustration with a lot of these museums is that he says they talk bad about slavery. And it's, something that's pretty obvious, that they want to erect all of these gold statues for the Confederates, because they go, we can't forget about that part of our history. We need to, by the way, we should acknowledge the Confederacy existed to criticize it. No one's saying that we should erase the existence of these horrific Confederate generals. We should never erase the history, because we need to learn from how bad these people are. There's a difference between that and venerating them with golden statues. But then at the same time, what do they want to get rid of, Cohen? References to slavery. That has to be erased. Any part of our history that references that slavery was bad. And Trump put that in a post. He put it in a post. And then he still will go and say, no president's done more for African Americans like Donald Trump. No president. You see here? Lawrence Taylor, everybody. Lawrence Taylor. See, African Americans like me. It's like, Donald, so you brought in Lawrence Taylor, who nobody thinks about, other than when you're like, wasn't that the guy who was found criminally liable for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old after his NFL career, and then said it wasn't his fault, but it was the pimp's fault for bringing him a 16-year-old? That was his defense for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old. Donald Trump appointed to be the person in charge of the initiative for little girls' fitness tests. Like, can we talk? Like, this is something that just fades from everybody's memory.
Can you explain something to me?
The person.
So we have now an entire administration that finds the discussion of slavery is bad, right? It doesn't make America look great. Well, you got 4 centuries of slavery. It's certainly understandable. Explain to me how you still see Black Americans at these rallies, at these White House events, at these MAGA events, wearing, for example, Trump 2028 shirts and adorning the hats and so on. Do they not understand that this man, this administration, sees them as less than a full human being? I mean, I don't understand. I'm beginning to hear from friends of mine who are still on the inside that they are very concerned as it relates to the Hispanic community, specifically like Cuban, as well as the El Salvadorian population, for example, in Florida, that they're very concerned about it because of the illegal and the improper detention of undocumented migrants. And they're losing that. They're losing the Hispanic, but I don't understand why there's even one. I truly just don't. I'm sort of lost by America. Are we looking like I wrote the other day, Ben, that you guys posted on Midas Touch Networks Digital? I wrote, Americans want to lose our democracy. I mean, is that what we're looking for? That after 250 years, you're able to say to yourself, hey, I'm kind of like fucking bored with this democracy bullshit. I kind of like the idea of an autocracy, of a supreme leader. It's not as messy as democracy. It's one man makes a decision for all of us, whether we like it or not. Instead, here, they want to rewrite history. By the way, you don't rewrite history by doing what they're doing. What you do is you're going to cause it to return, and you're going to make it into a repeat.
Look, democracy is hard. Democracy is messy. Democracy requires compromise. Democracy requires good faith. Democracy moves slower. Democracy requires participation. And this is why so much of the world was amazed that America was able to pull it off, as imperfect and as problematic as certain periods were and certain things were, like slavery and Jim Crow. And you can go on to a lot of internment camps. And there's a lot of our history that we shouldn't be proud of, but we should reflect on how we try to avoid it in the future. But the arc of history, the arc towards fixing things, was something that the rest of the world looked at and said, how did you achieve this? And they tried to model and take parts of it in their own systems to perfect, especially lots of countries that have histories of authoritarianism. They look to America as a beacon for free elections, the type of stuff that Trump does. Oh, it's rigged, it's unfair, blah, 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 overthrow. That's what the dictators would do. They would claim that they were doing free elections, but they wouldn't. I mean, Putin claims he does elections. Kim Jong-un claims he does elections. They just win by 95% because it's a rigged system, and that's what dictators do. But the problem is that and this is what we'll talk about shortly, when you have certain people playing by the democracy rules, and other people playing by the authoritarian rules, and no one's calling out the authoritarian rules as such. No one's saying, foul, you can't do that. We're not working with you. We're not accepting it here. When you have Tim Cooks showing up with golden nuggets or whatever he's freaking bringing to Donald Trump, when you have NVIDIA, the AI company, saying, okay, Donald, we'll pay you tribute, when you have all those, powerful people go to Mar-a-Lago and bend the knee and submit. Then you have an entire political party submit. Then you have a far right-wing Supreme Court submit. Then you look at it and you've now embraced two different rules. Now, it's like, imagine playing basketball, or you pick into sport where one group of people have their hands tied behind their back. their legs handcuffed, their legs cuffed together, and the other side's able to move freely. That's the system that we have now. And so it's why we need to fight back. We have to fight fire with fire. Yeah. We have to call it out, especially, and I'll just show you this clip right here, where you have Lindsay Halligan's of the world, Trump's former lawyer, out there. Here's what she was saying about her efforts to change the way American museums will look. Here, play this clip.
While slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress. And I think we need to be focusing on the progress that we've made since then, and we need to stop focusing so much on the lack of progress. We need to keep moving forward as a country.
Who's talking about lack of progress? In other words, see, this is the problem with things like Fox. There is nobody who pushes back. There is nobody that turns around and asks the follow-up question. Whoa, hold on one second. What you just made a statement that we need to get rid of the conversation of slavery because it was bad for America's history, and that we are not creating in the museums the fact that we have progressed, though we should all acknowledge we're far from there where we should be, but we certainly as a people, as a humanity, we have progressed. Oh, you know how you know that we've progressed? Because there's a fucking museum that's dedicated, right, to the African American Museum. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, if that doesn't turn around and say that, hey, we acknowledge it, we are talking about it, I just don't understand why nobody pushes back. It's a ecosystem of lies and of a rewriting of history. And you try to rewrite history, you are doomed to repeat it. The only difference, people are sick and tired. I really believe it. I believe, other than the 1%ers, we're really getting sick and tired of all of the cosplay, all of the stupidity, from like the shady Vances to the Stephen Millers to the nonsense that's going on with Pete Hegseth and what's her name? Kristi Noem going out there today and painting the Mexican side of the wall. I mean, this bullshit really has to stop as more and more people have less and less of money in their pocket because of tariffs and all sorts of other things. I think people are really getting sick and tired. I know I am. I'm
as well.
Just frustrated by all of this stupidity.
It's why, when California Governor Newsom's out there mocking Donald Trump and doing the memes and, and is out there just saying, look, we can all play at this game too. Like, this is how stupid you look, Donald. Let me show it to you. I want to talk about Governor Newsom.
Can I ask you a question, Ben?
Yeah.
Why are they using pictures of me?
That's definitely your body.
Yeah.
That may be your name, image, and likeness from 1990. I've seen some of those wedding pics, Cohen. I mean, I saw what Cohen looked like in the 90s. Let's take our first quick break of. By the way, Cohen's like, yeah, man, it's for real. Like, you're right. Wait till you say that. Hit subscribe here. Go to the Mea Culpa podcast. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show, his Substack, The Michael Cohen Substack, The Midas Touch Substack. Let's take our first quick break of the show. We will be right back in just a quick moment.
You ever stand in the grocery store staring at a piece of fish, wondering if it's going to taste like the ocean or more like regret? I've been there. And after everything that I've seen and everything that I've done, trust is a luxury, especially when it comes to what I put on my plate. And that's why I'm telling you straight. Wild Alaskan Company, it's the only seafood that I trust, period. When the first box showed up at my door, I was skeptical. I mean, wild caught, perfectly portioned, frozen right off the damn boat. I mean, it sounded too good to be true. But I opened it. I cooked up some coho salmon, pan-seared with a little olive oil and some sea salt. And I swear to you, I haven't looked back. The flavor, clean, rich, real. The kind of fish that makes you realize just how bad that you had it before. And here's the kicker. It's 100% wild caught. No antibiotics, no GMOs, no factory farming. Just fish from pristine Alaskan waters, caught with care, shipped with purpose, and meant to be savored. Every bite supports sustainable fishing communities. I mean, it's seafood with a soul. So listen, not all fish are the same. And if you want seafood that you can trust, go right now to wildalaskan.com/beat and get $35 off your first box of wild caught greatness. That's Wild Alaskan, WILDALASKAN.com/beat. No risk, no bullshit, just the best damn fish that you'll ever eat. So thanks again to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode. Now go eat like you mean it.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Let me show you, though. Gavin Newsom.
Just because we have a couple of, we have a couple of brigaders are like, why do you do these commercials? Please, this is independent journalism that's going on here. You don't have the Peter Thiels of the world. You don't have Elon Musk that's putting up money in order to be able to provide, this type of a service, which is truth. And that's the reason why we have sponsors.
But I'll tell you what, though, Cohen,
there's 3 seconds.
But it's a great point, though, because it almost goes to what I was saying before the break about whether it's Democrats or pro-democracy fighting with their hands behind their back, right? God forbid you have a successful media business that is run the way a business is run. There's sometimes the onus on the other side, on Democrats or pro-democracy people, to be like, why are you running the business successfully? Like, why would you go about doing, at some point, here's the problem that Democrats or pro-democracy faces, okay? As you get closer to an election, because they're not building the right types of structures long-term, smartly and sophisticatedly, what ends up happening inevitably right before an election?
It's a scramble.
You beg for money. You beg, please, please, please. And the people you beg for are not aligned with your views and values. So they precondition it. And they go, well, you better say this or you better say that. Why wouldn't we want, forgetting Midas touch in general, why wouldn't we want independent media people to be as successful as they can to grow the platform? We announced today that we're building out Midas Canada. Then I want to build out Midas Australia. Midas Touch has had multiple events already, from Phoenix to we're going to Omaha. There's going to be other events next. We've been getting the biggest exclusives imaginable. How do you think that happens? Like, writers behind the scenes, editors behind.
By the way, I'm not joking. This is the truth. I will not do an ad read unless I've actually sampled the product.
Yeah.
I want to be clear about it. All right. I will not. I could go to my freezer right now and pull out one of these Coho salmons. I actually do. I've cooked them up. They're really freaking delicious. And yeah, I throw a little olive oil on. My daughter's actually an amazing cook. She's the one that showed me how to do it. They're great. So to those of you that don't like my ad reads, I'm terribly sorry. To those of you that do, thank you.
But to me, yes. But there's the broader point of
course,
we need to be financially responsible and build structures and infrastructure that's durable for generations. Why do we cede the ground to Fox and Newsmax and OAN? They're the only people who can build and develop their structures that end up screwing democracy. It is you hit.
Can I also make one more point here? No, I've never sampled the cat food. Okay, that I leave for Marlo, but I have watched Marlo eat it.
Exactly. Well, let me show you. Speaking of Fox, which is funded by billions and billions of right-wing oligarch and private equity money. That's how they do what they do. Here's what Sean Hannity was doing. Let's play this clip of Hannity first. Let's play it. Yes.
I have a point. Results matter. A new performative, confrontational style. Maybe it wins you points with the loony radical base in your party, but America is not going to vote for that record.
Could you believe that that's what he's talking about
No.
with no self-awareness at all whatsoever there? It's wild. Wild.
I mean, he is truly, and I know Sean Hannity very, very well. In fact, at one point in time, we were friends. Sean Hannity is doing exactly what one would expect someone to do who's making like 40 million a year. He's staying on the message that's paying his salary. He doesn't believe half the shit that comes out of his mouth. Believe me when I tell you, he's just performing. He'll tell you himself, I'm not a journalist, I'm a TV host. He doesn't see himself as a journalist. I don't know about you, Ben, but I see us as journalists. My goal is not to sit here and take on the propaganda of whether it's the left, the right, or the center. No. How many of you turn around and say, oh, well, Cohen this and Cohen that? Fine. I'm not here to placate anybody. I'm here to tell the truth and to give the experience that I have, unlike anybody else, sitting next to Trump for over 10,000 hours for almost a decade and a half, to explain to you where we are at in this country based upon the things that are happening to us every single day, because none of this is new. Now, maybe to some of you it's new, but it's not new to me. In fact, I write about it in the book Revenge. Revenge is so prescient in so many different ways. When I said in 2018, when I said, mark my words, I was the first one to say it, and I did it on live TV at the House Oversight Committee when I said my biggest fear is if that Trump loses the 2020 election, there will never be a peaceful transfer of power. And lo and behold, fucking A, there comes January 6th. Now, if we're going to start making up delusions like we are with the museum and so on, why don't we just call that a peaceful tour, right? It was just a congressional tour, and it was peaceful. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there's so much going on, and you need to find a home where the information you're getting is accurate, truthful, and every now and then with a little brevity.
Yeah, well, look, here's Ed Martin, who was the person Donald Trump first appointed to be the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C., top federal prosecutor. He's now in charge of the pardon office, but also investigating the pardons that he says that Joe Biden illegally gave to people with an auto pen. That's their conspiracy and their lies. Biden's pardons are illegal because of auto pen. Just repeat it over and over again. Ed Martin's over here. He deletes this post, but it's a post of him with someone who appears to be Jared Wise, a former January 6th defendant who was caught on video urging rioters to kill cops. Trump ordered the case against Wise dismissed before the jury reached a verdict, and Wise now works at the DOJ. And again, when I say we're past constitutional crisis, we live in an authoritarian fascist regime currently where we, the people, though, need to fight back. It is not a normal functioning democracy where you have people who are involved in an insurrection who are not prosecuted, who are let free. The leader of it, Donald Trump, is in power, and they've given jobs at the DOJ to the enablers, the promoters, and the actual perpetrators are now the people who are running DOJ, FBI. That's a horrible data point indeed. Now, and also, when they post these things, it's like, okay, keep it up then. If that's how you really feel because you posted it, why delete it?
Right.
I mean, stand by it. You posted it. This is how you feel. Oh, are you trolling me? Looky here. I posted and then I took it down. I got you. It's like, dude, it's one of the things that bugs me about the fascist movement of Trump also is that I also just think they're such weak, vile human beings because it's like, just stand on business then.
But you notice, but one thing,
Ben, hey, you're a fascist. I would almost respect more.
And know this, Ben. Somebody like that will never come on Midas Touch Network. They will never be interviewed by your podcast, by my podcast. They're only comfortable going on Fox News, on Newsmax or OAN, but mostly Fox, where they can say the most outlandish lies. And every single one of you knows that they are lying to your face, that it is absolutely. If I turn around and told you that I was 7'2", that I'm the center for the New York Knicks, and I just about a half hour ago signed a contract for like $1 trillion for 3 years, they would turn around. You'd have somebody like Jesse the Jerk-Off Waters, or you would have Greg Gutfeld turn around and go, MAGA made you very, very good at basketball. And that's the talking point. This is the problem. They don't want to have a normal conversation. And the people that are following, it's why building this Midas Touch community, I say it all the time, is so important. We need to reach these people. If we reach only each other, those of us that are actually sane, that have not been indoctrinated into the Fox world, into that ecosphere of stupidity, we need to reach out to them. This is the mistake that Democrats are making right now. As when I say Democrats, I'm talking about the DNC. Ben is 100% correct. The only time they start getting active is like right before, a couple of weeks before, when they start asking for money. They start putting out ads. By the way, their ads suck. And then they put out these ads and they start spending, and they think that they're going to be enough, that we're going to win the midterm elections by saying, we good, Donald bad. No, don't treat them like we're cavemen. All right. Don't treat them, like that. We need to go into the communities, and we need to go there, and we need to grab the hands of the men and the women, the young and the old, right? The white, the brown, the black, the minority community. We need to reach out and bring everybody in. So that way we stop the stupidity, the cycle of stupidity, which is really what's going on right now. And that's, by the way, how Trump was successful in winning in 2025. He did just that.
Yeah, and capturing culture or being in communities consistently is something Democrats forgot to do. Democrats thought it was the old game, and Democrats thought all this stuff that right wing are doing and saying is so crazy. Why even acknowledge it? Like, why even respond to it? Well, in the vacuum, that stuff actually took root, and a lot of Americans, and it's a shocking thing, but it happened. You can't acknowledge that it didn't happen. It happened. Started to go, oh my God, DEI, transgender people, oh my God. And then when Democrats tried to respond, they were like, oh, it looks like people are in this direction, so maybe we need to not be for transgender or LGBTQ. And it's because you need to believe in something.
Right.
You need to be powerful in what you think, and what you need to truly believe it. And you can be like Governor Beshear in Kentucky, who is in Kentucky, who says, of course I stand by LGBTQ. Of course I stand with the trans community. Of course I'm for diversity and equity. Of course I'm for clean energy. Of course climate change is real. Of course these things really exist. I think that what's happening in Gaza is an atrocity. And I don't think that it's anti-Semitic to criticize what Netanyahu's doing. I can call it out. I'm not giving some wishy-washy answer. And I could similarly say Hamas needs to go. They're a terrorist organization, and they need to release the hostages immediately. You can say, like, why? When Democratic politicians start to go on and they're like, well, I think no.
Right. Two things could be true at the same time.
I think what people like about Newsom, what people like about Bernie, what people like about AOC, what people like about Mamdani is not just the fact that they have views, but they're saying it, and they're out there and they're throwing punches, and they're like, this is what I believe.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to hear, Cohen, I think. I'll show you in contrast. Here's what J.D. Vance has to say. Just play the first clip of J.D. Vance on Gavin.
Don't help them too much.
Stop sounding like crazy people.
That really is all it is. I mean, this idea that Gavin Newsom is somehow going to mimic Donald Trump's style, I think that ignores the fundamental genius of President Trump's political success, which is that he's authentic. He just is who he is. You've got to be yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person. Be authentic. If the Democrats did that, they'd do a hell of a lot better.
J.D. Vance had 3 different identities and names in his life. His name's not really J.D. Vance. He grew up as something and then J.D. Vance. When he grew up, he was a shy kid who was gay, or he believed he was gay, and he would tell people that. And then he either went to conversion therapy or his mom talked him out of being gay. This is what he says. Okay. So then he's not gay J.D. Vance anymore. And so now he's straight, quiet, J.D. Vance, humble, law student, academic J.D. Vance. But his name wasn't even J.D. Vance yet. Okay. Then he switches identities, and now he's Appalachia, J.D. Vance. He's not even from, he's from the suburbs, he's from the suburbs in Ohio, grew up pretty middle class, but he said, I'm this poor guy from Appalachia who hates Trump. I'm the never Trumper because they're trying to take away our health care and they're trying to take away all of our stuff. And Trump's a fraud and Trump's going to do the demise. Okay. He was the biggest he got famous being the never Trumper. And then he became the new J.D. Vance, which is whatever Donald Trump says. I hate the woke. I hate all of these things. So if you want to talk about inauthentic and this mutation of various personalities, it's all these people. And you look back at all of their stories in this movement, Michael Cohen, like all of these people, they have these strange backstories that you're like, where do they even find these people? And why is it that the rest of society's never stood up to these people and said, what the hell are you talking about? What are you doing? You're making fun of woke, you freaking moron. And look them in the face and just be tough. Be tough to these idiots. And that's like my biggest pet peeve and why I've created a whole media network is I'm like, why are you treating these people with like kid gloves? Like, why are you being like, they're saying horrible things. Just step up, stand up to these.
So I think what Ben was also trying to say is the 3 names that he changed, they were his last names. He was born James Donald Bowman. And then after that, he changed his name to James David Hamill. And then after that, I don't know where the Vance came from, but then it just, instead of using the names, he just did it as initials and became J.D. Vance. Not that any of that even freaking matters. Truth be told, as Ben just rightly put it, the guy is a farce. He's an absolute asshole. I mean, there's not a statement that can come out of J.D. Vance's mouth that is not a praise to the supreme leader. I wasn't aware that you have to agree with every single thing somebody says all the time. Now, you can have a disagreement, but just do it in private. That's what a vice president should do. I get it. But he specifically goes on air not to discuss issues, not to discuss things like the concentration camps going on there in Venezuela. He's not there talking about, the improper, decisions to strip America of its history and rewrite it. None of that. He's not there to talk about veterans or the federalization of the police in D.C. No. Every morning, everybody gets talking point memos. I know, I've seen them. And then what they do is they tell you, if you are going to be a surrogate, these are the things you must say. This is what, bless you, this is what the supreme leader wants to hear. And so they all start off, if you ever notice, it has to be flattery. Thanks to our incredible president, who's the only one who has decided that he is going to take the bull by the horns and stop all of the rape, the murder, the killing, the death, the drugs going on in DC. And how we're going to do that? We're going to put the military in front of the White House. We're going to put them in front of the monuments. We're going to put them in front of Union Station. We're going to put them in areas that have nothing to do with where crime is taking place. Fucking genius, right? This is what they do. He wants a show of force. It's all a Mark Burnett production. That's all this is. And that's what tonight is going to be when he decides to throw on the flapjack and get in the back of a Humvee, which I don't even understand, Ben. Could we spend a minute talking about this together? Because I'm sure our brigaders are as confused as I am.
Yes. Pause. Last ad break of the show. Then we're going to talk about it. Reminder, subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to his Substack. Subscribe to Mea Culpa, his audio podcast. Let's take our last quick break of the show. We're going to talk about it. And two-finger salute. Can't forget about the two-finger salute. Let's take our last break of the show.
I got to tell you about my neighbor's cat. You know, the one I always talk about, Marlo. I mean, this guy is a total character. Last week, I watched him sniff around my kitchen like an inspector, judging everything. I mean, I swear, if he could talk, he'd be reviewing restaurants on Yelp. And you know what? I realized something. Marlo deserves the best. And that's where Smalls comes in. Even though I don't feed him, I know he'd go crazy for it. Because Smalls is real protein-packed, preservative-free food that cats actually love. I mean, imagine Marlo doing a taste test. 2 bowls side by side. One with mystery kibble, one with Smalls. Guaranteed, he wouldn't even glance at the kibble. Go straight for Smalls. Nose twitching, tail flicking, the full Marlo seal of approval. So know this, that Smalls started in 2017. 2 people cooking in small batches for friends' cats, and now they've served millions of meals. Fresh, healthy recipes that give cats shinier fur, more energy, fewer hairballs, and a litter box that doesn't make you question life choices. And if your cat doesn't love it, Smalls will refund you. No risk, no questions. So here's the deal. For a limited time, because you're a Political Beatdown listener, you're going to get 60% off your first order plus free shipping. So go right now to smalls.com/beat. That's Smalls, SMALLS.com/beat for 60% off plus free shipping. Treat your cat, or just imagine Marlo enjoying every bite. It's worth it.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. You just see the alternate personalities of J.D. Vance. I always want to bring the facts when I'm talking about his past identities. J.D. Vance wrote that he convinced himself that he was gay when he was a kid. And then from The Advocate, how J.D. Vance went from thinking he was gay and then changing his name twice to being an anti-LGBTQ plus extremist. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure I gave people the citations. But Cohen, you were saying that you wanted to discuss something.
I'm just curious, how is it even going to work that the president of the United States is going to put on a flap jacket and go out into the streets in order to patrol them? I mean, you're going to be flanked by Secret Service. They're going to shut down the roads. You know, in Virginia, for example, it's legal to buy fireworks. So what if people start shooting off bottle rockets, you know, as an example? This is a dangerous move. It's not just dangerous, it's stupid. And I don't understand how it's even possible that they would allow this to happen. It just, again, I'm just befuddled from it.
Well, Cohen, you look at DC residents, 79% of DC residents, people who actually live in DC, right? They don't want National Guard. 61 to 65% say that the biggest threat to their safety in Washington, D.C. is Donald Trump and these military vehicles driving around D.C., with about 80% saying they don't want Trump in there. But there's a bigger narrative here, though, that I think is an important thing, which also is how corporate news kind of covers this, because you see some of the headlines right away, too. Mission accomplished, crime in D.C. is down whatever percent they make up, 40%. Okay. When people don't leave their homes, there's not going to be a lot of crime. When people don't want to be out in DC and go to restaurants, inherently there's going to be less crime. And already DC had less crime by significant measures than a lot of these red states that are providing National Guard to go into DC, whether it's Mississippi or Ohio or South Carolina, or you name the state. DC was far safer than like 51 cities in all of these other areas. So if you're going to bring the National Guard into DC from your states, why wouldn't you use your own National Guard in your own cities that have higher crime? Another point, that the National Guard are not going to the areas in DC where even the crime really is. They're going as
I told you, they're going, it's cosplay in front of the White House. They're going into Union Station. They're hanging out in front of the monuments or Arlington Cemetery. Great. So people who happen to go into the DC area proper, they see the military experience. But those people on the outskirts that you're saying, they never see these.
Exactly. And then it goes to this point, though, and this is Trump's thing, everything he does, whether it's with the tariffs, whether it's with the military strikes against Iran, whether it is with Putin, whether it's in DC, you do this performative thing, short term, you declare a victory, but you don't actually address the systemic issues. And in fact, you make the systemic issues worse. But you've got the headline. Donald Trump said that Putin agrees to Article 5-like security guarantees. Okay, Trump said that, but Putin didn't agree to it. Putin didn't agree to a trilateral meeting with Zelensky and Trump. Putin didn't agree to a ceasefire. So why were there all the headlines suggesting those things happen? Because that's the decay of our media. That's how you get a Trump. Trump gets the headlines, but things are far less safe. Total annihilation and obliteration. That was the headline about the Iran strikes. On the Midas Touch Network, we said, nah, he didn't strike them. I mean, he struck them, but it was in a performative way. Now Trump's removed the sanctions against Iran, has allowed them to move more Shahed drones to Russia, do more oil deals with China. America's not sanctioning Iran like it did before. We did a reality TV movie style strike on some facilities. We didn't knock out the enriched uranium. Iran is stronger. The Ayatollah is stronger. Russia and China is stronger. America is weaker. DC, what's the game plan? Are you going to have the National Guard there forever? Is the idea of policing in the United States that our military now becomes the police department?
Yes.
Well, how is that going to impact our military readiness for real conflicts around the world? And how is that going to impact, say, tourism, people wanting to go places and shop and show up? So systemically, it hurts. All of these things become net negatives. They're headline grabbing, reality TV style productions that cause massive, massive harm. And that's just the MO of all of this. And a complacent corporate news media perpetuates it and says, this is normal, to which finally, the Midas Touch Network, Beatdown, others come along and channel what the people are saying, which is, this is not effing normal. This is not normal, and we're not okay with it. So cut the crap out. And then finally, people go, thank you. I felt so alone.
Some people, and then there's others that are just still, they're deaf to the lies that's coming from, say, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and others. They're deaf to it. By the way, speaking of deaf, there's got to be something definitely wrong with Stephen Miller, who is 100% today going to be the recipient of the Michael Cohen two-finger salute. I don't even know how to say. Listen, I know Stephen Miller. I've unfortunately spent some time with him during the 2015, 2016 time period. In those days, he kept his mouth shut. He was much easier to digest. now that somehow or another he's managed to elevate himself, that he, this fucking weirdo, has the ear of Donald Trump. And let me tell you something. Stephen Miller is a dangerous guy. A lot of the shit that's coming out of Trump's mouth is coming out of Trump's mouth because Stephen Miller talks about it to him beforehand. And Trump does that. It's like it's on his mind. He has to talk about it. I don't know why he does it, but he does. Stephen Miller, listen, time for you to act like a normal human being. It's time for you to behave like a human being. All right? And as a result of your lack of humanity, your stupidity, your ignorance, your bullshit, texting, tough guy, bluster, nonsense, fuck you on behalf of everybody here at the Beatdown.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Great episode. Be there live for me and my brother's show tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We're also going to bring you the Gavin Newsom press conference in about an hour or so. We expect Gavin Newsom to get up and speak. We'll be bringing that to you live as well. We appreciate you all so much. Make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack and the Midas Touch Substack. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. And subscribe to Political Beatdown right here. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Different environment today. I took my baby girl to the beach. So she got to see the water a little bit. Anyway, thank you all. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Shout out Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom.